SMT Nation, we are back. Nation, the second half 2024 reports from Root Metrics are out. And actually, I need to rephrase that. The report's not out, but the data has been uploaded and it's now accessible to the public. All the metros have been tested, all the cities. Typically, I think it's like 110, 115. I think maybe they used to do as much as 125, like something in that range. There's been a couple of changes. Some cities have been taken out because they've been shrinking in population. Some have been increasing and they've added those. So a little bit of movement there at the tail end of the cities. But we've got states, we've got national, and then we have the markets, right? And we can kind of look to see how the carriers are doing. Here's what I do when I look at Root. And the reason I like Root is because it's scientific testing. It's the same devices. It's top of the line plan, and you know, you get the same methodology, the same software, and these tests run over and over and over again. While they're drive testing the network, they also go indoors and test. It really is the best testing methodology in my opinion. There's so many other factors when things go crowdsourced. How old are the devices? Which devices are they using? Is it iOS? Is it Android? It's all these things. You take that out and you let the speed testers, you let the network testers, quality testers, voice call, everything. It's all in there, right? And what I look for is I look for trends. I look for change of trends. Is T-Mobile getting better? Are they starting to win markets? Are they going to win any states? How is Verizon doing since they've launched C-band? How is AT&T doing since they started really focusing on their 5G plus upgrades? I look for trends. So let's see if we can find some trends. All right, first of all, I want to say when it comes to the metro testing, the cities, Verizon still does appear to be dominant. So if you take, for example, this first like dozen or so that we're looking at here on the screen. So from, what is this? Akron, Ohio to Birmingham, Alabama. You see a lot of red and you see a few dashes of blue. Okay, so, Verizon still predominantly, and historically who's winning all these markets. And then you start to see that there's a little bit of pink. There's some magenta in there. All right, and that's T-Mobile. And here's the best situation, right? Take Buffalo, New York, for example. You've got a three-way tie between AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. Like, what could you ask better than that if you're a customer, right? All three network providers building to quality, building excellence, and you can choose your carrier on something other than network excellence or network availability or network performance, right? Charlotte's the same way. All three, it's like a three-way tie. And then you see a little bit of Verizon dominance, right? They're in most of those examples, with the example of Boston and Bridgeport, where AT&T is dominant and they got solo wins. Verizon has a solo win in Cincinnati. They got a couple more in Columbia, Colorado Springs. Cleveland, it was Verizon and T-Mobile. All right, so we could talk more about individual markets, but my point is this. I got T-Mobile winning some markets here, guys. Corpus Christi, they tied with Verizon. Fresno, tied with Verizon. And look at this. They got an outright win in Jacksonville, Florida. They got ties with Verizon in Kansas City and Kissimmee. Lancaster, tied with Verizon. We got a lot more magenta in there. And there's a couple things that have happened over the last couple of years. First of all, the T-Mobile network has gotten better. Second of all, Root has changed the methodologies and some of the weighting and the categories on their testing. That was going to help T-Mobile. They got away from weighting the calling, and they've gone more towards data. And that makes sense, because most of the usage on phones are not actual phone calls. In fact, the phone calls really go over VoLTE or voice over NR anyways, right? All right, so I'm seeing a lot more parity. Modesto, three-way tie. Mobile, Alabama, Verizon, and T-Mobile, right? I'm seeing the most parity we'd ever seen in Root Metrics ever, right? So we don't need to count everything, but I'm seeing outright wins for T-Mobile. I'm seeing shares of wins for T-Mobile. I'm seeing, AT&T involved winning some markets. I see them winning some solo shares. So while Verizon still does win a majority of these markets, they are not the only ones winning markets. And then what you could do is you hit this drop down and then you can go to the states, right? So I can go to whatever states I want to see, right? And look, I got AT&T winning a whole lot of states. And then I got Verizon winning some. I got a lot of sharing between Verizon and AT&T, right? But I do see T-Mobile involved in Rhode Island, shared between the three. West Virginia, T-Mobile and AT&T. Verizon, I think they're well known to not be that great in West Virginia, honestly. All right, so I got some Verizon outright wins. I got some AT&T outright wins. I got some shares. And I got some shares for T-Mobile. They're in a couple of markets, right? They're doing better. And I think between the testing methodologies and the weighting, it's really helped T-Mobile shine a little bit more. And I guess the question becomes is, who's the best carrier according to Root? And, if it's market to market, you can look that way. If it's states, it really just depends. There's a little bit of balance there. Some places it's Verizon, some places it's AT&T. You might be lucky, like in Rhode Island, where you could choose your carrier on something other than that. And then with respect, did they do the national? I don't think they put the national testing yet. I don't think they did. Let's refresh. Maybe it's just glitched out. All right, metro area. We go to state national. Oh, United States. It was AT&T. Yo, AT&T was 97.0, Verizon 96.8, T-Mobile at 94.7. Network reliability went to AT&T. Small margins of victory for them. Network accessibility went to Verizon. Network speed went to AT&T. And that's not even really that close, right? There's a couple points off. Data performance went to AT&T by a very small margin, 0.1. Calling performance, Verizon and AT&T are still the best, and T-Mobile still lags. Texting performance, it's Verizon and AT&T. And then video performance, it's Verizon and AT&T. So on a national scale, Verizon and AT&T are still better options. Looks to me like it's an AT&T win. All right, so you might get faster speeds on T-Mobile according to Ookla and OpenSignal, but you might get overall better performance from AT&T or Verizon according to Root on a national scale. And of course, you got to check, state to state to see how things are going. This is a good report. We're going to break this down further. I'm going to do some coverage on this on the podcast tonight. We'll look at some states individually. We'll look at some markets individually. All the super chats that have come in, we'll look at your decided states and markets that you want to see. We'll focus on the nation and what they want to kind of look at, the different drives and the locations and the performances and the comparisons. We'll do that for you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. And go ahead and comment and let me know what you guys think of that Root performance and AT&T pulling out the win. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.